Hey, what's going on everybody? It's ETAPRIME back here again. Today we're going to be taking a look at an absolutely amazing mini gaming PC from one of my favorite mini PC manufacturers, Minisforum. This is the HX77G. I've had a few people asking about this ever since Minisforum announced it a few months ago, and I knew I had to get my hands on it. Like I mentioned, these are some of my favorite mini gaming PCs, and these are true mini gaming PCs because it has a dedicated GPU. We don't have to rely on integrated graphics, so we can go up to 1080p, and with a lot of games, this will actually handle 1440p gaming, believe it or not. Definitely take a look at all of that in just a second, but as you can see, we've got a small form factor gaming PC, coming in a lot larger than some of their other mini PCs in the market, but they definitely had to up that form factor to accommodate a larger cooler because now we have to cool a dedicated GPU and an 8-core 16-thread Ryzen CPU. So inside of the box, along with the HX77G, we're going to get a 262 watt power supply. Usually with these mini PCs that only utilize integrated graphics, goes anywhere from 65 up to 120 with the new 7000 series. But since we have to power dedicated graphics and a Ryzen 7000 series CPU, needs a little more wattage. Along with that, we also get a carbon fiber stand, so this will actually sit horizontally, or we can set it up vertically. Personally, I like setting it up on the stand, but on the bottom we do have rubber feet, so if you wanted to set it underneath your monitor, you could always do that. Overall, I love the design that Minisforum has come up with, and you might notice this looks exactly like the HX99G that was released last year. But with this, we do have an upgraded CPU, and they just kept the overall form factor, which I think looks really nice, especially with these carbon fiber accents. So they're calling this carbon fiber armor, and the whole unit isn't constructed of carbon fiber. As you can see from this diagram here, we've got 4 carbon fiber plates on the PC itself, plus the carbon fiber armor on the stand. I think it sets it off, but it would have been nice if they offered another color variant, like a white version with those carbon fiber accents. I think would have looked absolutely amazing. Taking a look at the I/O, up front here we've got one full-size USB 3.2 Gen 1 port, a headphone jack, microphone jack, and USB Type-C. The one up front is actually USB 3.2 Gen 1, but moving around back, we've got 2 USB 4 ports. These do utilize 40 gig protocol. We also have 2 full-size HDMI ports, 2 more USB 3.2 Gen 1 ports, and a USB 3.2 Gen 2 port, plus a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port. And of course, I'll give you a rundown on the specs, and really what makes this different from the older versions they've released is the CPU they utilized. We've now got the AMD Ryzen 7 7735HS. 8 cores, 16 threads, a base clock of 3.2 GHz, and a boost up to 4.75. You can add up to 64 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM running at 4800 MHz. This one happens to have 32 gigabytes running in dual channel. And we can't forget about the dedicated GPU, because with this, we get the Radeon RX 6600M. 8 gigabytes of GDDR6 VRAM, 28 compute units, 1,792 stream processors, and a max core boost up to 2,416 MHz. On AMD's website, this GPU is actually rated up to 100 watts. We'll take a look at total TDP on that once we get into it, but this is going to offer a significant boost over any iGPU on the market. This version will also accept 2 M.2 2280 PCIe 4.0 M.2 SSDs. We've got Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth 5.2, and this is running Windows 11, but of course you could install Linux if you'd like to. I also wanted to give you a look at the internals. It's actually pretty easy to get to. There's 4 screws on the side, then we're going to pop the panel off. As you can see, we've got one of those M.2 slots already populated, plus dual channel DDR5. So if you needed to get in here to upgrade that RAM or add another M.2 drive, pretty easy to do. Now, I was going to tear the whole unit down, but over on their website, they do have some diagrams about the cooling system, and I wanted to give you a look there, because when it comes to Minisforum's cooling systems, I mean, there's no other mini PCs in the market that match them. I've done a lot of reviews on their systems, and these are definitely some of my favorites, and this one's no different. We've got a dual fan cooling system with a big single heatsink. It actually has 7 copper pipes, and it's going to make contact with the GPU and CPU using liquid metal. So running this at the maximum TDPs we can, I don't expect this thing to get that loud, and it's going to stay really cool. Alright, so the first thing I actually wanted to do here was just check out what kind of TDP we have going on with this Ryzen 7 7735HS and the Radeon RX 6600M. Now I do know that this should run at up to around 100 watts, and that's, the normal 6600M. I didn't know if they've changed anything here. And I'm pretty sure with the 7735HS 64-65 watts sounds great, especially with the cooling system here. Now it does have a lot more to offer, but since we don't have to utilize the iGPU here, 65 watts is going to be plenty. And to do this, I personally like to use CPU-Z. It'll allow us to kind of max out all 8 of those cores and 16 threads. And just to get an idea, we've got hardware info up. Right now, at idle in performance mode, around 17 watts. Run a stress test on it, and we should see this jump up. Yes, 68 watts there. So not bad at all. We're going to get those really nice clocks on that 7735HS. Now it's time to check out the GPU side of things. And for this, I'm going to be using Furmark. I've also got Afterburner running, so yeah. RX 6600. Total package power here, 100 watts, so we're right there at 99. You can see we're utilizing 98% of this GPU with this Furmark 1080p test. So we can definitely expect to see some amazing performance out of this system. The TDP here isn't dumbed down at all, and the cooling system they have is more than enough for the wattages we're running at. So the first thing I wanted to take a look at were some benchmarks. And the first one here is Geekbench 6, single core 1853, multi 9933. Not bad at all. Would have loved to see a little bit of a higher single core there, but remember we're on Zen 3 cores and not Zen 4. Next up, we've got some GPU benchmarks with 3D Mark. For Night Raid, 46,200. Firestrike, 20,547. And finally, Time Spy with an 8,202. Judging by the synthetics, yeah, we're going to be able to get some 1440p gaming out of the way. AMD doesn't advertise the 6600M as a 1440p card, it's more of a 1080 Ultra card, but at 1440p high, I've actually had really great luck with a lot of the stuff that I've tested in the past. And the first game we have here is God of War. We're at 1440p high with no FSR. Taking this up to Ultra will dip us under 60 in some cases. That's why I say the 6600M is great for 1440p high or 1080p Ultra. But with the way we have it set up right now, we're getting an average of 73 FPS, which in my opinion is more than playable for this game. And it looks really great here at high 1440. Here's Cyberpunk 2077, 1440p, high with FSR set to balance. So as you can see, we're right there at the edge. I got an average of 64 FPS with it set up like this. So taking FSR to performance or going down to 1080 is probably the way to go. Forza Horizon 5 has no issues whatsoever with the 6600M at ultra settings, 1440p. And in fact, if you don't mind running this at high, you can go up to 4K, lock it right down at 60 and play this all day. I think it looks great here at 1440p, and we're getting an average of around 73 FPS. Here's Spider-Man Remastered. Remember, you're going to get the same kind of performance with Spider-Man Miles Morales, 1440p, very high, no FSR. This is one of those games that does function very well on the 6600M, especially when you've got it paired up with a pretty beefy mobile CPU like the 7735HS. So the games we've taken a look at so far run really well on the system at 1440p, but there are some that are going to struggle at that kind of resolution. Here's The Last of Us Part 1, and I had to drop this down to 1080. I've also got kind of a mix of high and medium settings here to get what you're seeing on screen. Outdoors, we're getting an average of around 78 FPS. Indoors, you can see it does jump up over 100, average of 92. But as soon as we try to take this up to 1440p, we need to add a lot of FSR and even take some of the settings down just to medium.
Down through here.
And the final game I wanted to test here was Starfield. We're at 1440p medium with 50% resolution scale. I'm using FSR. We're not getting great performance. This is Jemison, and it is really hard to run, even on higher-end, full-size desktop GPU. So with this, we're going to go down to 1080p medium. Now we've got a resolution scale of 80%, and in Jemison, we're right there with an average of 61 FPS. But like I mentioned, this is a harder area to run in. Any city in this game is. So let's take it to a planet. Now, with the same exact settings, 1080p, medium, 80% resolution scale, we can get an average of 80 FPS. Indoors jumps up to 100. And the final thing I always like to take a look at is just total system power consumption. This is going to pull a lot more than a mini PC that's just powered by an iGPU. And while doing my testing, I have this plugged into a kilowatt meter at the wall. At idle, total system draw from the wall, 22 watts. Average 1440p gaming jumps up to 176 watts. And the maximum that I could get this to pull in my extreme test was 221 watts. Remember, this comes with a 262 watt power supply, so we're under that limit and it's looking good to go. But if you're looking for a very low power consumption PC, then this one might not be for you, but it is pulling a lot less than a full-size desktop would. So overall, I think Minisforum has done a great job with the new HX77G. Loving the performance this thing's putting out for gaming and just everyday desktop use. And during everyday desktop use, this will utilize the iGPU. So for 4K video playback and things like that, it's going to pull a lot less wattage than it would if we were gaming. So if you're interested in learning a little more about this PC, I'll leave some links to Minisforum's official website in the description below. And if there's anything else you want to see running on this, let me know in the comments. I wouldn't mind testing out some emulation, or we could even go with a different operating system, like let's say SteamOS. It's really up to you guys, so let me know down below. But that's going to wrap it up for this one. And like always, thanks for watching.